That's a good question.
Thomas doesn't want to find out. I do. And it's my body and I get the choice.
Do you want me to show them my cool hoodie?
You can show them your cool hoodie if you want.
This is my Father's Day hoodie.
Our son got him this for Father's Day.
Son.
Not me.
Can they see?
I think so. I thought it'd be a really cute way to explain his job.
So you have to explain it.
There's Daddy going to work. There's Daddy when he's in work. And that's Daddy when he comes home.
It's my new favourite thing.
So I'm back with my husband Thomas, and we have not done a sit-down Q&A in a time. Announced that we're having another baby in my last vlog. And you look overly happy with yourself.
It's good to be back. We never get time to do this anymore.
Oh, the days when we had so much time. But yeah, for those of you who aren't caught up on my channel or our lives, fair enough, you know, there's enough going on in the world. It's not really that important. But our son is 21 months old. So yeah, he is just so fun. And he's also a handful. And I'm a stay-at-home mother. I am kind of trying to juggle that with like part-time work. And it's killing me and it's really difficult. So yeah, there's just so much to navigate, and there's a lot of excitement but also a lot of worries and feelings about, you know, expanding the family. And we thought we'd do a sit-down Q&A together and answer your questions together. So I asked on Instagram. Got a bunch. A lot of them were directed at me though. So Alba asked, was my cycle regular after my period came back?
I'm going to say no.
It was actually. See, we don't even talk much anymore. There's no time for talk. My period was gone for 16 months because I was breastfeeding, which was amazing. But yeah, I loved having no period. And then it came back the day that I got COVID, the day that I got the positive COVID test, which was really strange. But it was as if like my whole body was just like, ah! And yeah, when it came back, it was like the most regular it had been in years. I had 3 periods before I got pregnant again, and they were like, you know, so predictable. Barbara asked, what was the very first symptom this time? Did you know you were pregnant before the test? And I had a very strong inkling that I was pregnant before the test, the same as last time.
Yeah.
And I did take a bunch of tests that I couldn't really see, like, it wasn't very obvious that there was a positive line, but like I could see one, and I was showing you and my dad, and you were like, there's no line there, you're literally imagining things.
Were you not saying that you were noticing your temperature gradually going up on the app, and that was kind of the first inkling? Because the tests were coming back negative, and do you remember we were in Tesco's and you were like, I'm going to go and get another test?
Yes, so a lot of you know I used an app for years called Natural Cycles. It is the first FDA cleared birth control app in the US, and it's CE marked in Europe. I didn't use it while I was breastfeeding because I had no period, but yeah, this app, it can be used to prevent pregnancy or to plan pregnancy, so I've kind of experienced using it in both those ways. I've been using it for 5 years or more, long time. You know when you're ovulating. It reminds you when your menstruation is due, which for me, being in a kind of long distance thing, is very helpful to plan around that.
You place this on top of your phone, because what's the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning? Take your phone and look at your phone.
Get this thermometer, press the little button, and you take your temperature under your tongue. It tells you, say, on a red day when you definitely, absolutely have to use a condom or you will get pregnant. It helps me identify my fertile window, but this is really interesting because I had used it for quite a while before starting to try for baby, but women who had previously used Natural Cycles had an average time to pregnancy of 85 days versus women who had previously used hormonal contraception with an average time to pregnancy of 146 days. Most days you have to take your temperature in the morning using a thermometer, and I noticed, just like I did with my son, this happened the exact same with him. Your temperature goes up when you're ovulating, and if you get pregnant, it doesn't fall back down the way it normally would. So I kind of was like, But, you know, then when you don't have evidence of that or like any physical symptoms, like I didn't feel sick, I didn't have sore nipples or anything like that yet. I just felt normal. But I don't know, had a feeling. They are giving me a discount for you and a free thermometer. So you can get 20% off and a free thermometer using my code Melanie20 at the link down in the doobly-doo under the video.
I haven't heard doobly-doo in ages.
I do get asked a lot from people who are planning on trying to start having babies or people who are currently trying to have babies. What did you do? And the main thing I always say to people is to be very aware of your fertile window and track your ovulation, because it's so important. And this time round, we literally had a small chance within my fertile days because my husband travels for work, so it's even more important for me to be aware of those days. Because it's an app, it's 100% natural, so there's no hormones. That was also really important for me, like getting off birth control. I was just so many of my issues, personally, were linked back to the contraceptive pill that I was on. Hormones just aren't for everyone, and it is important for you to be aware of your alternative options. And I will say, this method of tracking your fertility by taking your temperature, it is only for 18 plus. Obviously, it doesn't protect you against STIs. It can, of course, take the app some time to get to know your unique cycles. I genuinely do think that knowing exactly when I was fertile both times helped us hugely in getting pregnant so quickly, because you could be having sex 7 times a month, but if you're not having sex on any of the right days, you don't have a chance. So yeah, I hope that some of you have a good experience with natural cycles and do make use of the discount, and let me know how you get on with it. Carol asked, why are we choosing to find out the gender this time when we didn't last time? I'll rephrase that question to sex.
Okay.
So we have decided to find out the sex this time. And
why is that?
Thomas doesn't want to find out. I do. And it's my body and I get the choice.
Well, basically, Mel said that she'll find out and not tell me. But I don't know how
I really want to know this time.
Yeah, no, that's fine. You can find out. But if you find out, then I will inevitably find out. Because I'm just going to see it in your face, or I'm going to eventually have to get it out of you. So
our reasons for not finding out last time was, we wanted the big surprise. We didn't want to project any expectations or get attached to an idea of who our child would be before they were born. Mm-hmm. A big one for me was I felt like not knowing would really push me through the labour.
Yeah.
There was a few reasons, but I've been talking to a lot of people who found out on one and didn't find out on the other, and almost everyone who found out the sex of their baby and they had experience also not finding out said that they enjoyed the pregnancy more knowing, and that it didn't ruin any surprise or any of that, because what they look like is still going to be brand new. The size of them, what they are like compared to their sibling. There's so many things that are going to be brand, a shock. But if for what a lot of them said about knowing the sex ahead of time, especially if they already had a child, was just that it became easier to just picture your family and to kind of form a bond during the pregnancy, which I definitely struggled with the first time round. I didn't really have any way to kind of even form. I think when I got the 3D scan, it did help. When I saw the face in the 3D scan, that definitely helped me to feel oh my God, that's so obviously our child. I could see little on the face and stuff like that. But that's so far into the pregnancy though. I think you can find out the sex from about 16 weeks, which is in 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
And I feel if I know I'm having a little girl, or if I know I'm having another little boy, it is gonna change how I am gonna visualize that, because our son spends time with other little kids fairly regularly, and the little boys that we meet and the little girls that we know, and they are very different in certain ways. Not all of them, obviously. However, I do think most kids are generally the same. It's when they hit puberty things change, and having a brother or a sister in your teenage years is so different. And I'm thinking lifelong, you know, I'm not just thinking about the next 3 years where, yes, I'd say our toddlers will just be like very similar to one another. But yeah, like even in terms of the birth, like boys tend to be bigger as babies. I'm scared about having another big baby. Like if I was having a little girl, maybe I'd be less nervous. There is a lot of reasons, but I just suppose I'd like to experience both, like not knowing and knowing. And then on the third, we can pick which we've preferred.
Yeah, like to be fair, with the first pregnancy, I remember you were kind of leaning towards finding out then as well.
Yeah.
And I kind of was like, no, I want a surprise. So,
but I really like went along with, like I was like, yeah, you're right. Like I started to feel the same.
So I'm doing, this time it's your turn.
Thanks.
You get to pick.
Thanks. Carol also asked, how did I manage morning sickness with a toddler when Thomas was away with work? And Fran Ariella asked how I'm feeling about Thomas working more during this pregnancy and postpartum period. Like with the morning sickness, there's nothing you can really do to help it. To be honest, like when you're here versus not here, it's not that much different other than like I can possibly get a bit more sleep.
Yeah.
But like having a toddler and feeling really unwell is so challenging. It's probably the most challenging physical feat of my life. And a lot of the days, even mentally, but a lot of the days, like I was lying on the couch just in the fetal position, and I was playing this game with him. Like I was like telling him to bring me different objects and to put them beside me, and then I'd be trying to guess what it is, and just all sorts of weird games to try and be able to lie down.
Lying down.
Yeah. But it worked, and I've gotten through it. Like I think I'm through the worst of it now, and I feel like better now. But like it's just such a blur. It was rough, but in terms of you working, like I'm a bit like nervous about what it'll be like postpartum, because you won't have as much time off. Obviously, he wasn't working during COVID, so you were around for a lot of our son's life.
Yeah, this time around is going to be very different because when baby number one came along, I was probably flying short haul once every 6 weeks, but now I'm on like a full-time long haul schedule. So it's going to be a case where I'm going to line up as much holiday days as I can, and then I get a couple of weeks of leave as well for a pregnancy, so that
I feel worse for you about it. I feel bad that you're not going to have all that.
Well, yeah, it's going to be hard because
he loved being around.
We were like 100% 50-50 for the first like months and months at the start of his life, and
because we were able to take on different roles. Like I was able to focus completely on just all of the feeding and just baths and that kind of thing, changing his clothes, and then for the first like month at least, you were doing all of his nappies. You were cooking my food. Sometimes you were feeding me because I had a really bad 3rd degree tear, and so I was healing from that, and I'm trying to breastfeed, and that does involve both arms a lot of the time when it's a newborn, and so. But
for you, the first couple of weeks you were struggling to even just move around the house.
I know.
So.
We have people who we feel we can rely on just in terms of our toddler. Like, I just don't want him to ever feel left out or anything like that. I'm really nervous about like how he's going to be and how he's going to find it. I think
he's been around other babies and he's been
amazing with babies, and he's really interested in other people's babies. Like some of our friends have babies now, and he's so interested in them. But I think when it's my attention being given to a new baby, I have so many feelings. Vicky, will I do a birth vlog for this baby, and am I considering a home birth? Definitely will do a birth vlog again. But on the home birth front, we're probably not going to go for that. I don't think it would be recommended anyway, because I had a really bad postpartum hemorrhage the first time round, and then the tear. Like I don't think even the midwife-led unit in the hospital will touch me. I think they won't want anything to do with me.
Well, sure, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, there's a good chance that it's not going to be recommended. And as far as I'm aware, the hospital can't say, oh, you absolutely can't have a home birth.
Yeah.
They do have to support it. But I think if
they can advise against
if they sat us down and just said, look, lads, if you do that, chances are you're going to be in here one way or another. So you might as well just come in.
I'd love a home birth, because the labouring at home on the first one was lovely. Yeah. I loved being in labour so much, and especially in your house.
Do you remember? I put the mattress on the floor in the sitting room. I lit the fire.
The candles. We had the bath. Candles. It was lovely. Yeah, I did my lavender.
I could put Harry Potter on the telly.
I know.
And you could just...
I did read, though, that apparently here in Ireland anyway, 1 out of every 5 people who have a home birth end up in hospital, but it's usually for pain relief. And at no point during the labour did I feel like I wanted or needed any more than gas and air. And I think they can provide that during a home birth.
I don't know. We'll have to look into it.
Yeah. I'm going to be hiring a doula this time. And a doula is kind of like, they're a birth expert who support you during your birth, and you can hire them postpartum as well to just help you with all of the day-to-day mammy tasks. And we're definitely hiring a doula, so I'll be talking a lot to the doula, and I will share all of that with you guys. But I'm going to try and suss out like what they think is best. And I know they don't make a decision for you, but they know all of the facts and the statistics and this and that and the other. So I will base, and I'll be talking to them. I'll be talking to a consultant. I'm going semi-private this time, so I'm going to just be asking a lot of questions. Chris asked, why do I find childbirths this time much scarier? And Sela Samuel asked, would I consider a C-section, seeing as I found my first birth so difficult? So I talked about being quite nervous about birth this time. I had no anxiety about birth the first time. And this time, even on the phone to the doula, I was shaking.
Yeah.
And crying. And I'm realising there's a lot of stuff that I've just packaged in a neat little package. And I just don't go there because I don't ever have time to think about it. And I just don't think it's going to be productive or good for me. As soon as I got pregnant, really, and knew I was pregnant, I've realised that. Because then I had to start thinking about giving birth again. And I just started thinking a lot about how my last birth ended. So like the labour was great, as I shared in a vlog. And then right at the end, there was a lot of just, pressure to like, you have to get on your back. There was just a lot of stuff where like, I feel like if there was a doula there, I would have realised like, oh no, actually I don't have to get on my back. Thomas was asking all of the right questions. Everything with me was fine. And my son was fine, and he was just in a kind of a funny position, and it would have taken him quite a while longer to be pushed out. And they just wanted me done. And I did complain. I sent a complaint email to the HSE. I wasn't told why they needed to use a forceps. I wasn't told that they were going to use a forceps. I wasn't told about the risks of a forceps. And there was just a lot of like, it just felt very... out of my hands. I just felt like so out of control in the situation. And if it had been for a good reason, like, my son had a cord around his neck, or there was a reason, Yeah. If there was something that they could...
But that's the thing that we came back, and we talked about it in another video, so like realistically we won't go through too much, but I remember specifically asking, like, is Melanie okay? Yes. Is the baby okay? Yes. What's wrong then? Oh, well, the position that the baby's in, there's a good chance that your wife is going to get very tired if things continue.
Stayed awake for 5 days after he was born.
Anyone who watches the other video knows, like, we were briefed about, okay, we're going to try a suction. If that doesn't work, it'll be a C-section. And then we went in, we were offered a episiotomy, we turned that down, and then it was a forceps. No mention of suction, no mention of C-section. So it was very confusing, and we're still kind of... We're going to get the notes from the hospital and kind of figure out what went on.
It just felt like what is happening. Like nothing, no one even seemed to know what was going on. Like the guys who we were pushed into then afterwards were like, oh, we were sure like, hours ago that you would be a C-section because of the size of the baby. And it was just like a lot of like, and I understand that the medical staff, like their job is to be very risk averse and things like that.
But I think what it was, what really kind of set it off for me is I always had it in my head that there was some kind of a time limit, because we were coming up on the 11th hour, and all of a sudden it was, oh no, go, this needs to be done now. Yeah. And it wasn't like that up until that point.
The staff changed after the 12 hours as well, I think.
But it was when
The
we were
room,
speaking to the
I felt like
doula,
it was-
she said that there is set hours for what they would expect a labour to be, and then there's expected hours for a pushing phase, and it does come in total to about 12 hours or in and around there. So
a lot of people feel pressured to get through the hospital.
So what I had in my head was correct. There was set time barriers, and I could sense it, that, like, their behaviour changed as we were getting close to the 12-hour mark. They just wanted to know the baby's coming out now.
Labour and birth, obviously. And now I know that the hospital system is stretched really thin, and I know
it was during the depths. It was like the real depths of COVID.
Yeah,
as well.
And I understand all that, obviously. But what I'm trying to just say is that, obviously, when you feel like there's a possibility that things will be out of your control because your body's not cooperating with what they want, when it's a natural process that should be, it's just all very like, and I think the postpartum hemorrhage was just so difficult to recover from as well. Now I was offered a transfusion, and I think just with all COVID and I had no one there, and I was just in an absolute state as well. Like, I was hallucinating. I'd been awake for so long when this was offered, and I said no because I had no one around to talk to about it, or like I was in such a panic about, even at the time I didn't even want anyone to hold my son because someone was coughing in the hall, and I stayed awake for 5 days because I didn't want him to have to be put even into the little bed over here, because anytime I did put him into the little plastic bed and then I would be pressing the button for someone to come and help me to get him because I was injured and I had a catheter in, I couldn't get at him, no one was coming. So the whole hospital experience for me was horrendous, and I think mainly because it was during a pandemic, and obviously like a lot of people did suffer traumatic experiences in hospitals at that time because they didn't have the visitors, they didn't have the same experience that they would have had otherwise. So in a way, I'd say this time around will be much better because it won't be like that. Thank God.
Well, this is it. We're going into it with our eyes open, and then also the restrictions are relaxed. Like,
but if I have
crossed,
another hemorrhage, I don't want another hemorrhage.
Well,
and I don't want another really bad tear. And I don't want a C-section, but yeah, you asked.
Well, I don't want to be kicked out of the hospital at 3 a.m. when I'm exhausted.
I know. The person did ask would I consider C-section and stuff like that. Like, I'm open to whatever needs to be done to safely deliver my baby, as I was the first time. I was always open to one if I had to get one, but I don't want an elective C-section. If I'm encouraged to get a planned C-section, if my baby is like measuring 11 pounds or something like that, I'll weigh that up. I'll weigh up the risks. I'll weigh up loads of things. I'll talk to lots of people and come to that decision. But I've never been like anti-C-section. Like, I think C-sections are really difficult to recover from. As I know from family members, as I know from close friends who've had them, they are really, it's a serious surgery. And obviously, if I can avoid that, I will. But having a 3rd-degree tear is like big deal as well. And it's, basically not nervous about labour. And if I was left alone, I wouldn't be nervous at all. I know that with a home birth, even if you have a hemorrhage, like they know how to stop that. Like, it's not like you just can't, they don't have the ability to like immediately give you a transfusion. I'd love to know your birth experiences down below, and if you had like a better experience on your second than your first. Like, it's just such a huge thing for your body to go through. And throughout history, like, a lot of women died during and after childbirth. And even now, like, even in the developed world, like the US has a terrible rate for mortality in childbirth. Like, it's scary. And, there's just a lot of concerns. And I do think, yes, it's because I went through a challenging end part of my birth, and that has affected my feelings. So I am probably going to have to do some therapy in the next few months. Definitely going to have to just, do another hypnobirthing course, and because I want to do a different hypnobirthing course, because the Positive Birth Company one we did, which was amazing, it really did make my labour so much better. But if I hear her voice again, I think I'll be triggered because I was listening to her affirmations during
and just the music as well.
Yeah. So but hypnobirthing itself, I love. and I want to do again.
Yeah, and that was a really good course. Like
Yeah.
it was brilliant
You learned a
for
lot.
me as well. Jesus, I learned a ton of it. But yeah, maybe fresh birth, fresh course. Isn't that what they say?
Yeah. Molly asked, how have I managed breastfeeding while pregnant? So I'm still breastfeeding, but I'm kind of convinced that now there's only anything coming out maybe once a day, and it's like a tiny bit. So I think he's almost fully weaned, but like he's still dry latching a lot, especially when he's teething. But basically it can be agonizing because my nipples are very sensitive and sore now. And that happened with my first pregnancy as well. One thing that we did do sooner than we probably would have otherwise is night wean, because we still close sleep, we bed share, and he sleeps like a log, like literally in between us from like, so he goes down around 7 until sometimes like 3:30. He won't move, or like you won't even know he's there.
Yeah.
And whereas before that, every hour or 2 hours, he would latch on to my boob. So I would kind of be like semi-asleep, but like semi-awake as well, and like be just adjusting my position. And that's just very common. The reason babies do that, especially when they're under 1, is it's protective against sudden infant death syndrome, for them to wake regularly. It's important for babies to wake regularly. And also it keeps your supply up with them latching at night. It's just, and you're, you know, the way a lot of parents go in to the room that they have their kid in and replug the soother, like the dodie, we call it a dodie, but it's the same thing. Like the boob is the original soother, so basically just going is the same thing as just finding the dodie and putting it in their mouth. But we night weaned. I'm going to do a whole updated breastfeeding video, and I will talk in that about like how we did that and got him used to going to sleep without the boob. And it's so good now, because like if I'm not here during his nap time, you can put him, he can lie down beside you and just cuddles to sleep. which is really handy, and he took to it surprisingly well too. It was very relaxed and very gentle,
very little given out on his part, which was very surprising.
Like he just himself just stopped looking for it in the evenings. He's kind of almost self-weaning now because there's nothing really there, and I think maybe it tastes a bit different because I'm pregnant. I know that a lot of people say when they hit like 4 months pregnant, usually their milk, a lot of people's milk does dry up. And I was considering for a long time doing the tandem nursing and continuing to nurse him the whole way through the pregnancy, and then breastfeeding my newborn and like still allowing him to breastfeed, but I just don't think I have it in me. I think I've mad respect for people who do that. I really do. But I think like trying to hold down any kind of work for me and just like cleaning the house, like we don't have a cleaner, we don't have a childminder, like it's just too much. And it's breastfeeding is a full-time unpaid job, so I can't do it.
Caston shared that they have a 10-month-old and they found it very difficult looking after the baby. They asked why we wanted another kid, even though we often share how exhausted, overwhelmed and busy we are. That's a good question.
You go insane. Now I will say, you were way more insistent on having this baby quicker.
Oh God.
I would have been willing to wait another year, but Thomas wanted another baby now.
I said, let's go.
Let's
keep
go.
Let's keep
go.
this train on the rails.
To be fair, you know, I think having considered his position on it, like just kind of popping them all out and then getting back to ourselves, you know, and gym, travel, all that kind of stuff, I think he's right. I feel like if I fully regained like my life and you know, fully recovered, you know, all that kind of stuff, and then did it again, it would be a much bigger shock than just still being in that phase and then adding another.
Yeah. Plus, if they're close in age, I've been told that they'll be friends and they'll entertain each other.
You had a sister close in age,
true.
and I had a brother close in age.
Yeah.
And I do think, it's just be nice for them to all kind of be generally close in age. He wants 4 kids, And I always said I wanted 3, but I don't really know.
Well, I originally wanted like half a dozen, but then we said that, that's never going to happen.
I said that's never going to happen. But
so we agreed. What was it?
We agreed on 3 pregnancies.
We agreed 3 pregnancies, and there's a key in there. So if there's twins, then we get to go again.
There's lots of things you have to weigh up. So but we definitely didn't want 1 child. So this one was kind of a no-brainer. But it's like I'd say our decision on having a 3rd. My decision on having a 3rd will be based very much on our experience with this 2nd baby and how the 2 of them are together and the kind of routine we fall into.
Yeah.
So, we'll see.
There's never a good... we've said it before. There's never a good time to have a child.
There is a bad time, but there's never a good time. But why do we want to do it again? Like, what are the positives? It is the most amazing thing I've ever experienced.
Yeah. It's just great crack.
It's really fun. It's very... interesting. It makes you grow up a lot and mature and challenges you and shows you what you're made of, and it's like this friend who you're like so close to and so intimate with and so affectionate with, and I just can't compare it to anything else, and I can't imagine not having that again.
Yeah. And like
he's already nearly 2, and like when he's 4, when he's in school, then he'll be gone half the day every day, and I'll be like, I just love hanging out with him. But then, you do want breaks, obviously. You get exhausted and overwhelmed. But, I think the key thing why maybe some people are like gung-ho to do it again and other people are like, I'm never having another child. It could be... Obviously, then you've differences in where you are at mentally anyway, but your support network is a huge thing. Like if we had to move away to a different country and didn't know anyone in the area and didn't have anyone to ever help, like I think I would really struggle to want another kid.
Yeah.
Because you'd never get a reprieve or a break.
Yeah.
But
like one of the best things for me is like I'm really close to my parents. So it's nice that I kind of look at our current child and hopefully our future child and have that with them. But then also it's really cool to see how close my parents are to our current child as well. It's
my dad as well.
Yeah, like it's just really nice.
It's lovely. Bake and Be Well. Do we have names we like already, or are we waiting until the birth is closer to choose? Someone else also said that they picked like a certain type of name for their first and they feel like they have to stick to a theme with the names, but we went with a very traditional name, so I feel like we could really pick anything, but we do have lists.
It won't be until the child actually comes along, like the list might end up going completely out the window, but it's nice to have it there just for ideas.
There's certain ones both of us like that the other doesn't like as well, but most of them were in agreement on, I think. And there's there's a couple of Irish names that we love. Most of them are very traditional, I'd say.
Are we allowed to say any of the names? No.
Yeah.
All right. Well, one of the ones I didn't like was Harry, and Melanie really liked it.
But
now
Harry.
I actually do like it because I found out that the shortened version of Harry is apparently Hank.
No,
and that's
is
awesome.
that not Henry?
Oh yeah.
The short name of Henry.
whatever the Hank one is.
You're not calling her
I didn't like
son
it.
Hank.
I did like it, now I do because I get to call him Hank.
I just love Harry. There's a lot of great Harrys in the world. Josie, how will bed sharing actually look with 2? I
don't know, because there isn't a bigger mattress than a super
king. And our son currently likes to sleep this way, and we sleep this way, so he has his feet at one of us and his head at the other person's cheek.
So you either get kicked or you have snoring all night. It's one or the other.
But his feet are so cute, so I don't mind. But it's what was I going to say? The way I think it's going to possibly have to be for the first while anyway, especially with his job, I feel like it's dangerous for you to not recover from jet lag before you go into work for other people because you fly planes.
Well, obviously.
So you're going to have to be getting decent sleep. So I think for a while it might have to be a case that you and our son sleep in a different room while the baby is like at that phase where it's up every hour.
like fully awake, where I have to sit up and eat snacks.
I remember that already.
Yeah, it's really challenging at the beginning. So I think until the baby's a bit bigger, and then we can all be like a big family pile, and then eventually our kids will bed share, and we'll bed share, and we'll just be able to cuddle all night each other.
Yeah, all night each other.
But even when there's no one in our bed, though, we do tend to roll away from each other and get into weird positions. I can't sleep really with like, you know, in the nook. I like being there as I fall asleep, but then roll away. But yeah, I think it's not safe to have a baby and a toddler beside each other until the youngest is 18 months. You can bed share safely with the baby here, the mother here, father here, and then the toddler on the other side of the father. So that's another option as well. But yeah, do your research into the guidelines, the Safe Sleep 7. I know the official guidelines are all super against bed sharing, even though that's what people have done since the dawn of man. And people do it anyway. And they do it without safe bed sharing advice. They do it out of desperation to get sleep, because babies want to sleep with their caregivers, and it can be just really hard getting up and down to a cot all night when you're recovering from surgery. So
yeah, so like right now it works fine, because we've just got we have a Super King mattress on the floor, so he's not going to fall very far if he does fall out of the bed anyway. But when the next baby comes along, there's probably going to be a lot of hot bedding in and out of many different rooms in the house.
yeah.
For me especially.
Ninja asked, what are we most looking forward to about having 2 kids, and what are we most concerned about? I'm really excited to see them playing together.
Definitely seeing the 2 of them together is going to be crazy. So
it's going to be so cute. So cute. Family dinners around the dining table.
Christmas. Today, actually, I didn't even tell you about this. My mom was digging around in an old toy box, and she found 2 does anyone remember the Thunderbirds? Me and my older sister Danielle, we had these blue Thunderbird walkie-talkies, and they're actually out in the car. I should have brought them in, but one has a T on it and one has a D on it.
Oh,
and it was
for your
from
name.
It was from when we were like really, really small. And like they kind of work. They're a little bit broken, but like stuff like that, like that's going to be amazing to have. So I'm going to see if because your dad's good with like electrical things. So see if he can fix them, and then give them to the next generation.
I'm interested to see how similar they'll be, how different they'll be. You know, like, will one of them be more like one of us than the other? It's just going to be so mad.
Yeah.
And concerns, like, you know, obviously there's a concern of like competitiveness, or them not getting along.
I think it's mainly just how quickly we'll fall into any kind of livable routine with the new child. Because right now, with my job and Melanie's job and the baba and
house renovations
and trying to do up the house and just fucking loads of stuff.
Fireplace.
It's very much like just do this, and then I'll do that, and then we'll do this, and what can I do now, and you know what can I do, and just do. So we're gonna have to just get way more organized.
I'd love to know like what kind of content, like motherhood related content, you would like to see from me. Obviously, considering that we don't share our son's like identity online, but yeah, I am kind of planning on moving this channel a little bit in more of a video essay direction, and just a bit less about my day-to-day life and a bit more about like subjects that I'm passionate about and that I care about and stuff. But motherhood is one of those. So please leave comments down below about any subjects that you're interested in, and say thanks to my beautiful husband for being here with us.
Yeah, it's good to be back in my fly gear, because I'm a fly guy.
Don't forget about my discount for Natural Cycles down in the description box in the doobly-doo. And I'll be back again very soon, because I'm feeling better now and I'm not sick anymore.
Very, very soon.
Soon. Goodbye, goodbye, good friends, goodbye. And now it's time to go.